How's it going, everyone? Appreciate you coming out to this information session on blockchain fundamentals. And that's going to be going on in the fall. And we've had this under works for a while, and it's exciting to see that this is coming to fruition. And the nature of the online coursework is that you can really do it anywhere. So I think this is perfectly suited for people that are already at home. And of course, all classes are going to be remote. So this fits right in with everything that's being offered on campus and across all UCs and CSUs. So if you're in the session, feel free to jump into the chat, ask me any questions that you might have. Happy to answer any of those, and happy to engage with whatever discussions that you want to have during the course of the presentation. Presentation really is just me telling a little bit about the program, how it all works, how there are a lot of value propositions that can come from going ahead and enrolling in this. I think that it's a new space, so for people that are already in computer science, I think it's a good value proposition. For people that have already jumped into understanding of Bitcoin or blockchain, it's a value proposition so all around. I think that's it's going to deliver some value to people that are interested in the space and want to get a greater depth to their understanding. So, Ms. Wong, how's it going? Noberto, how's it going? Thanks for coming to the seminar. Thanks everyone else that's in the chat. So yeah, I think I'll just jump right in here in the next minute. Let some people, I see some people are streaming in. And really, if you have any questions about soup to nuts, blockchain fundamentals, how it all works, and how advanced that you want to be, or where you're coming in from, I'm happy to address those questions as well. I typically train people that are in executive positions that have zero understanding of a technical nature. So whether you come in with a deep understanding of having a CS degree, or whether you're just trying to learn a little bit about it or completely different, I think there's something for everyone with this. And I think that this takes a lot of the core concepts that you'll see across a number of different, MOOCs, different online classes, and fuses them together in an easily distillable way. I think that a lot of classes can get overly complicated. So I try to discuss concepts that are perceived to be high level, but in a easily digestible form. So see everyone's coming in. I'll start just here in the next minute. And again, happy to engage, happy to discuss, who I am, why I'm teaching blockchain engineering, what I've been doing in the space. I know it's a new space. The leading technology, Ethereum's only been here for, 5 years. So it's all new and exciting. And, when you see reports in the Wall Street Journal about Bitcoin or all of these other technologies and you're interested in knowing, don't feel like you're behind the 8 ball, because there's a very few core group of developers that know about it. And I feel like one of the use cases of the technology is greater adoption. And once that happens, then all companies in the ecosystem benefit. So just wait for a few more people. I think a good percentage of the people that have signed up are here. And like I said, doesn't matter level of understanding. I think that this baseline first class is part of a greater tapestry of courses that make up the certificate program. So even after this first course, if you still have questions, then there's ample opportunity and coursework to address those questions. So this is just a good fundamental understanding that I think that people can do a lot with when they're jumping into the technology, and whether they're in the space or trying to learn a little bit more about the space, then it can kind of hit touchstones for every type of level of competency for people that want to get in. So I'm just going to start here in the next few seconds. Appreciate the LinkedIn invite, Mr. Manhanos. Ryan, how's it going? Ivan. So yeah, looks like we got a good number of people here. So I'm going to go ahead and start, and keep in mind that this content will be on the CSUSM website as well, on their YouTube page. So you can always access that afterwards if you have any things that I blew by or that you had a question about them. You want to address, then don't feel like you have to write things down or any questions to yourself, because that'll all be easily retrievable immediately after this broadcast. So here's who I am. My name is Robert Mallory. I'm a blockchain engineer, and I've been in the space for the greater part of 5 years. I bought my first Bitcoin and started doing development into Solidity about 5 years ago, when Vitalik Buterin got involved in Ethereum, and they had different derivations of that blockchain technology from that into Tron with Justin Sun, and kind of the offshoots of what was the initial technology of Bitcoin, and Satoshi Nakamoto that founded his white paper on the decentralized way of banking and trying to change the world for the better in the wake of the financial crisis. So, as you know, we're in another financial crisis. So I think this is timely and a good technology to understand now that things are starting to scale in the financial sector, and then in a number of different sectors as well. So I've been going for years to blockchain conferences. In Los Angeles is the biggest one here in SoCal. Of course, you all know that in Northern California, they have Silicon Valley and Sand Hill Road, and all those guys are really into the space in a big way. But here in Southern California, we're still into it in a big way as well. There's a lot of people that have an opportunity to interact with people that are really knowledgeable in the space. Here in Los Angeles, you have a lot of smart tech people in Los Angeles, and of course in San Diego, and then in North County, you're seeing more and more tech startups go in to Carlsbad area, into the Vista area. They have the Innovate on the 78, which is doing a lot of good things in North County. And with that, you'll see that a large number of companies, not only are breweries and kind of low tech things, but also a lot of high tech companies that are trying to do solutions for really conceptually difficult tasks, but are very ambitious. And a lot of them are making a lot of traction with their use cases and getting a lot done. So I've been on Bitcoin podcasts, been interviewed about the topic. And then I have a little blog where when I go to the LA Blockchain Week, which used to be CIS Crypto Week, that I write about it, what I saw, the exhibitors, people that are influential on the West Coast. And then it's big enough that people actually fly out for it. So as a kind of a regional hub, Los Angeles is big, but in San Diego, it's getting bigger. And I know the guys over at EvoNexus. I consult to a lot of boards that try to use the technology and are trying to find some good innovations specific to fintech, to Internet of Things, all different technologies that use this core blockchain trustless technology and the genius of the ledger. So and I've been teaching this to boards and at local Bitcoin meetups, and I'm enthusiastic about it, as a lot of people are that are in the space. So when I'm not doing this, I am an actual blockchain engineer. I am a technical lead for several decentralized applications that use Solidity. So if you're on a website, DApp Radar, that you'll see that there's a lot of DeFi, decentralized finance, on Ethereum and Tron, and I do some work there. Now, if you're coming in and you don't understand kind of like a lot of what's going on, don't be intimidated. This is just kind of a way down the picture understanding of what blockchain technology can do. And this first course really lays that foundation. So what sounds daunting at first can very easily scale and grow. So in addition to, yeah, writing the source code, writing the Solidity, making sure that it's debugged, looking for vulnerabilities so that, you know, contracts aren't drained or any sort of problems that happen with malicious actors that try to get into these applications or software are looked out for. Also beta test a lot of, you know, applications specific to mobile computing, that sort of thing. So I'm generally, I've graduated UCSD in, I guess it would be 2008. Wow, it's a long time ago, in tech. And since then, just been involved in computer science. And once I had a jump off point of understanding the power of blockchain tech, bought my first Bitcoin and then got involved in Ethereum and built a little bit of a network there and a greater level of understanding. What I'm seeing in North County and San Diego is that people approach me on LinkedIn or in person when I do these meetups and they want to get involved. I think CIO had a magazine had a stat that where over 10% of CIOs, you know, chief information officers, want to integrate either crypto or blockchain technologies, trustless type of technologies into their initiatives. So they want to integrate into their company in some fashion, and they're unsure how to do it. And that's where, you know, you as a blockchain engineer, or you as someone who at least understands the technology to a low level that you're trying to build, can grow. And I think that one of the nice things about tech is that there's a lot of roads to success. There are people that go have a CS bachelor's, CS master's, or, you know, people that work at Google that have this CS PhDs. But really, when you go around and talk to people that are really doing things and building applications and making big moves in the space, they went to boot camps, or they got a certificate, or they have built up their GitHub. So they know a little bit about the ecosystem and how it works, and they can start the conversations with people that are largely unknowledgeable and say, oh, did you see that application? Do you see MakerDAO? You know, I built something similar and it's on my GitHub, and yeah, I put that together and we scaled and we had 1,000 visitors last year. So without people dwelling on, oh, you don't have a CS bachelor's or master's or whatever, this is probably one of the easiest areas to pivot into, because you can start the conversation from a high level. People understand that you're smart, that you understand the technology, which not everyone really does, and then you can go from there. So some people that I know that are, you know, almost CIO level officers just are self-taught and are doing a lot of great things. So yeah, what I've done in my own experience is I've consulted to regional boards and offered, like, you could do this to stay on the bleeding edge of the technology. And, you know, they take that and appreciate it. But what they always tell me is they need more blockchain engineers, especially in SoCal. So, you know, what are blockchain fundamentals? Well, it starts with the ledger. What it is a peer-to-peer network that uses, in a kind of a genius, cryptographically constructed way, using, you know, the SHA-256 consensus mechanism that makes sure that all of the transactions that are on the blockchain are verifiable and keeps everyone honest, right? So, you know, you hear all these words that are complicated and it's like, oh, cryptography, you know, it sounds like something that they do during World War II, or things that are completely esoteric and hard to conceptualize. But there are a lot of good YouTube videos, there's a lot of good explainers, tutorials that break it down in a really discernible way, and, you know, you can digest it fairly quickly. And then all of the course content will be open source, so you won't need to buy any books, you won't need to have any type of expensive textbooks to supplement this with. So you can just go in with, you know, what you have, an understanding of how to use Google, and build from there. So this is really designed to get you an understanding of the technology, and then at the end of the program, after these courses, you'll have a certificate that can be actionable in the form of accredited by a regional body that is well understood. You know, everyone knows, at least in the space that I'm in, about CSUSM's cybersecurity program. You know, some of the top people at, you know, Viasat or top tech companies come, you know, out of that program, and it's extremely respected all the way up the coast, Los Angeles. You know, even when I'm in the Bay, people know about San Marcos's cybersecurity program. So this is really an addendum onto that, adding onto the strength of their tech program here in North County. So if you're in North County, or even if you're in San Diego, I really think that the visibility of tech out of CSUSM is very strong. A lot of people are really using Bitcoin as a payment rail. So when they want to send something between countries, or when they want to have some sort of transmission of value between borders that is cumbersome. You know, let's say you're going out of a South American country, or, you know, there's something with a problem with the banks, or like in Greece when the banks failed, they had a huge spike in the use of cryptocurrencies because the private keys, which are cryptographically almost impossible to decipher because there's just so many combinations. Once you have those private keys, you have value, and that value can be easily liquidated in a number of different ways. You know, Coinbase and Gemini, all sorts of these platforms that in a real way will swoop up at a price that's immediate and get you dollars. So the ability to send something border to border, across borders, for some of the altcoins, you know, some of these projects that are new and are trying to build off of what Satoshi Nakamoto did 10 years ago, can be done for, you know, a few pennies. You know, Bitcoin, or Bitcoin Cash ABC, or Litecoin can be sent for, even during peak periods, just a few cents. And the number 2 crypto, Ethereum, even during peak things will be like $1 or $2. So there are a lot of solutions for getting things across different borders. And not only that, the payment rail is the biggest use case at the present time in terms of just valuation. You know, Bitcoin is half of the crypto market in terms of total market cap. But there also are a lot of other applicability uses, that such as tracking fine art, that you're looking for a provenance of a piece. Who owned this piece? If you go to an auction house and you buy something, you know, the numbers are astronomical, but where was it the day before it was dropped off to the auction house? A lot of that's very murky, and you will command a premium if you can provide a provable provenance. But if you can provide a trustless provenance that, you know, was painted by someone or is decommissioned from the Picasso Museum in France and then stamped and then tracked and everything, there's a good use case there. They're already doing that with diamonds. They're doing that with wine to a big degree. So all of the opportunities to integrate, and once it gets cheaper, into all of shipping, you know, all of UPS, FedEx, all these people are hiring, especially AAA, are hiring blockchain people to help them navigate how to track things, you know, in inexpensive enterprise solution type technology. So there's a lot of applicability cases here that are being used in a real big way. So the way that the term blockchain engineer was coined is that it was just colloquially, you know, coined in the region. If someone said, you know, what do you do? Well, I'm a blockchain engineer, just like you're a computer science engineer. And all that means is that you work with technologies, usually Ethereum, usually Solidity based, that is doing smart contracts or is interacting with, you know, oracles, or doing these things on the blockchain. So by virtue of that, you can become a blockchain engineer. So whether you want to become a blockchain engineer, or you're just an enthusiast that saw that Bitcoin went from nothing into quite something, or that are interested in technology that's disruptive in the financial space with the DeFi, you know, they have people that stake their Ethereum, or they pledge their Ethereum against dollars, and the number of people that are doing that are substantial. And if you look at the real rainmakers on Wall Street, and people that run Wall Street, you know, Winklevoss twins, and a lot of the associates that are at the high level of State Street and that run those organizations, a lot of them are getting into crypto, and the ones that have applied for the BitLicense in New York are into crypto. So the people that are smart and that are really knowledgeable are devoting their time to blockchain technologies. So I think anyone that's interested in the future of finance should heed that understanding, and possibly do something, you know, along those lines to catch a little bit of that heat. So what will I learn? Yeah, during the scope of the first class, you can learn about blockchain technologies and what it constitutes. Essentially, we'll be going down the different use cases and breaking down how you can interact through your browser with a blockchain, either through an Explorer or through a MetaMask wallet, which is termed like a Web 3.0, where you can actually interact through a browser to the back end of a blockchain. So what seems super complicated, and you're having to send out commands and having to do all these steps that seem really intricate, all of it's broken down on YouTube videos, all of it's broken down on step-by-step tutorials that make it really seamless to do. So you learn the very beginning, the history from 2009 on, and the different use cases. I think the most exciting thing about crypto is that the use cases are abundant, and every day it seems like different, dApps, decentralized applications, make a different use of a Bitcoin. How can I pledge something in exchange for something, or how can I track something and do so in a trustless way? How can I make escrow easier? I was at a conference in Los Angeles, and one of the biggest guys, Tim Draper, was there, and he was talking about the future of service industry jobs, related to AI, and how Bitcoin is a big way, is going to be a huge player in that, in the sense that anything that can be binary, either an insurance event happened or it didn't, and then boom, a payout would happen. Or a contract, can a contract be written in such a way that there's an unequivocal event action that would trigger a specific rule? So a lot of people drain their resources, paying lawyers or accountants, and then things can be written by a lawyer in a very deft way to be able to wiggle out of it, or accountants can do mark to market in a specific way to make the numbers appear better than they are. But if you can make everything verifiable and uniform and able to be done without people to drag down the cost of a particular project, and it's well understood and well trusted, that benefits everyone. So the way that is all done is through smart contracts and using oracles that provide price data that cannot be fraudulently tampered with. So you'll understand, about what decentralization is, how the ledgers work, what the integrity of the ledgers are, and what oracles are. It's data sources, why you should trust the NYSE data versus cryptodata.io, and how APIs work, so you can understand that this data that I'm getting is in fact verifiable data that I can take to the bank. So this is the foundation class, understand. So there will be a certain level of talking about computer languages, but they'll just be more conversational, understanding what is being used, how it's similar to existing computer languages, and how the guy that's really at the archetype of, or the leading of this whole ecosystem, Vitalik Buterin, and his compatriots in Toronto and Europe, really made it based on a lot of existing languages. So the transition for people that know a lot about coding is fairly well seamless. And then, of course, how this revolution differs from the computing revolution of 30 years ago and the internet revolution of the 2000s. So they're different in many ways, but also very similar. So the beauty of, if you are in SoCal, is you're in the right place. There is a lot already going on in Southern California. Los Angeles, just because it's a center for commerce and money, just like New York, there's a lot of accelerators there and organizations that want to take advantage of this technology and scale and then exit. So during that life cycle of the company, they take on blockchain engineers in abundance, and they hire people en masse. And that's how you can benefit, is getting a resume that's solid based on your experience at top companies. And these venture companies have amazing benefits. They have an awesome opportunity to advance, and then you're going to learn a lot too. And these are some seriously smart people you're going to be surrounding yourself with. So when you talk about enriching your experience and having a good working environment and the benefits, I'd say you really can't get any better than this. But San Diego is getting much, much more active on this front. It was at the beginning of the year, Evo Nexus San Diego, which is the biggest incubator and has some of the largest funding sources, from the East Coast and otherwise. They're announcing they're having a special program for fintech, and they're trying to get something going because they know how quickly it can scale and how quickly, if they have a team of core competent engineers that know what they want to do and can sleuth the internet to find out the way to make it work and then test bugs and find out a good use case and then promote it properly, that the benefit can be enormous relative to what they put in. And if you're interested in just finding other people that are enthusiastic, there's Meetup, there's LA Blockchain Week, and they have various forums. And then of course, there's a lot of podcasts and online seminars and online conferences that they're doing out of San Diego and Los Angeles. And all these big companies that you see that say that they're based in Hong Kong or New York or Wyoming, Hawaii, kind of hotspots. Singapore is really the #1 right now hotspot for a lot of these companies. Even though they're based there, almost all of them are decentralized in terms of their hiring practices. So if you go to a Meetup, you'll see, oh, this person works at Binance, this person works at Coinbase, this person works at CoinMarketCap. So just because you're not like surrounded with what you see on buildings like Viasat or whatever, it's like, well, there's no real Bitcoin companies. There's a lot of people that are doing great things in Bitcoin in the region. And the proof is in the pudding. How in demand are these skills? Quite a bit. A lot of these numbers, specifically in 2018, off the heels of a lot of the ICOs, the offerings of companies that were looking for a quicker way to liquidate their earnings and go public with minimal friction. There was a huge appetite for people that knew anything about blockchain engineering. And so while, it did go up quite a bit, and 2018, the #1 fastest growing skill, huge engineering jumps. There is still ample opportunity to get involved and get a lot of this done on your own accord, especially if you're in Southern California. People reach out to me for technical recruiting, and they say, I'd like someone in Southern California, because if I open it up to a remote basis, that opens it up to, billions of people. But I'd like to be able to have someone come in the office, of course, when social distancing is over and all that, but at least someone to have lunch with or to come to the office and break down and do a presentation. That would be that much more valuable, such that I'd be willing to pay a premium for someone local. And so we have one of the hottest tech areas in the world, right? California leads innovation in tech. I think that's unquestioned. If California was its own economy, it would be, I think, bigger GDP than the UK, like #5 or #6 in the world. So we live in a great space for blockchain tech. And if you're thinking about moving here, then CSUSM is well stamped in North Region in San Diego, or North County, San Diego. And to be able to have a university certificate, at least in my experience, holds a lot more weight when it's approached to people that they themselves have PhDs, masters, bachelors from esteemed organizations, UCs or CSUs, and they recognize the rigor that comes from a CSU as opposed to, just an unknown commodity like a boot camp or a coding academy. And when someone looks at your resume, they're going to look for, one of my buddies is a hiring manager, and he says 10 seconds is generous for a resume. So they're looking for kind of brand names, and then who's teaching the class, do they know the person? So if they're in the region, I'm a known commodity. And if you take the certificate, then I'm happy to go ahead and answer any questions that you have in terms of regional employers and everything. So everyone that I know that did a real concerted effort to learning the technology has been paid back in spades, and they were able to find great traction in the region. And if you see that they had this, I think it was report in the Los Angeles Times, that a lot of the tech companies will start out trying to hire in the region, and then when they can't find the talent that they want, they'll open it up to remote, and then they'll cut the salary quite a bit because they know that the competition is infinite when you open up on a remote basis. But to be able to position yourself as, I'm in Southern California, I'm super knowledgeable about blockchain, taking their certificate program, I'm knowledgeable about dApps and DeFi and how it all works. That's very powerful, especially if you can meet people in the community or already have an existing relationship with a business. Getting traction there is really quick. So I definitely would advise people that have understanding of, or that want to have an understanding of blockchain tech to specialize. You know, you can go into computer science and you can stay just computer science and do web pages. And just like medicine, that's not really the best thing to do. You really want to specialize in what you do in tech, because when someone comes and they want the best for a particular initiative, they want someone that's been doing it full time. You know, when you go to a doctor, you want someone that's doing triple bypasses full time, like nothing but those, or fixing legs. So the same thing goes for really any specialty. So position yourself as being in the region, being immersed in blockchain tech, but having that competency to switch over to whatever's new in computer science, then you can do that as well. And this is, you know, down the road at the end of the certificate too. So there's ample time to catch up if you feel like this is intimidating to get a baseline understanding. It's all very understandable and very accessible to everyone that can look at it. And I feel like if you have an understanding of Word, Office, then I've broken things down right to level of understanding I think you'll be able to absorb. So why this certificate program? It comes down to, you know, where did you get your certification? Well, CSU San Marcos, just down the road, or in North County, enough said. As opposed to an accelerator that they had this qualified person, you know, this person did this thing. And yeah, you can start the conversation with, I did an accelerator and I have this GitHub and it's great. But the 1-2 punch is having a solid GitHub, if you want to be a developer, blockchain engineer, of having a really built out GitHub, and then also having that certification from a local institution. So you're essentially piggybacking off of already CSUSM's hot tech reputation and the great work the professors here are doing into cybersecurity and computer science as a whole. And then one of the ways that in this new economy, people are finding talent is that they themselves are either doing searches on LinkedIn or they're having their technical recruiters go in, and the level of sleuthing that they're doing is not super high level in many cases. They want an umbrella of top universities, you know, the CSUs and UCs, and then they'll type in blockchain and then they'll sort based on who's there. And then we'll reach out and maybe look into your GitHub and then, yeah, try to get some phone interviews going. So really, to have a brand name especially associated with a new technology gets a lot of traction. So there's a lot of, you know, MOOCs and programs out there, you know, massive online courses that are addressing everyone. The biggest, you know, they have the Princeton one, they have out of Hong Kong University, they have Duke, they have ones that are, you know, just good baseline free, you know, resources, but you're not going to get anything really specific to California. This certificate is more for, yeah, people that want to stay in the region, or even California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, that want to know the West Coast understanding of how this all plays out. So this course and the certificate as a whole is, you know, really impactful if you live in California. And then all of the skills that you learn, yeah, you can put right into your resume. Not only that, into your GitHub, which a lot of people use as a proxy for their resume, and can immediately hit LinkedIn or immediately send it out through cold email or what have you. So getting traction right away is the name of the game. And to be able to do that, you know, with adding a CSU to your degree, you know, even if you don't have a CSU as part of your degree or before, then that adds a lot of weight. So happy to answer any questions that you have in the chat. I have all the coursework, ready to go, and we'll hit the ground running at the beginning of fall. The classes start on the 31st. Feel free to follow CSUSM's Extended Learning Twitter and their LinkedIn, and they're always posting a lot of great stuff about the programs they have specific to computer science. But following this, the department will send some more information about the classes, how you can sign up, and then I'm more than happy to be a resource to direct you to whatever end that you're trying to achieve through this certificate or through blockchain as a whole. It's a new technology. People are getting big traction in it, and a lot of people are doing a lot of great things with base layer understanding. So if you can match that base layer understanding, then very likely there's a lot of great things you can do, especially if you live close to moneyed incubators and people that are really important to impress. So happy to oblige with any of that, and happy to color any sort of conversation that you want between then and now. I know it's a long time before classes start, but over the course of the summer, you can see how things scale. You can look at the numbers of the amount that are staked on MakerDAO, the amount that's done in blockchain for UPS, FedEx, AAA, and the way that this technology is really not a flash in the pan, but is getting some really meaningful transactions and really meaningful companies that are doing full-scale adoption. Already Microsoft and IBM and Oracle are in a big way getting into blockchain, and of course Facebook with their Libra platform. If you looked on LinkedIn, they're just really getting all over that in a big way. So happy to even discuss what's going on in California's regional ecosystem specific to blockchain or computer science as a whole. So reach out to me on rmaury@csusm.edu, and appreciate you checking this out. So wish you the best today, and appreciate you coming by and spending some time on your busy day.